Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this session, I'm going to talk about the second poetry in the second unit of DGBC Foundation English 2, which is Democracy. The poem is Democracy. This poem was written by an American writer, Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was born in the year 1902 and he lived up to 1967. Okay, he is an Afro-American poet, social activist, novelist, playwright, and columnist. This poet was front runner to the Harlem Renaissance. Harlem Renaissance was started in the early part of 1920s in order to create platform for the black writers. He was said to be one of the front runners of this movement, Harlem Renaissance. And this poet has published his first poetry, which is The Negro Speaks of Rivers. This one was published in the year 1921. This work became very popular, which has brought the attention of many people even beyond America. He was said to be one of the earliest innovators of the new literary art form, which is jazz poetry, and he wrote at a time when the African Americans were subjected to discriminations and negative stereotyping. This poem, Democracy, was published in the year 1949, and this poetry is focused on the fight for equal rights under law, including the ability to vote for African Americans. All the lines are given in the poem are easy to understand, but the speaker is asking the reader to do more than understand. They should hear, feel, and support that what speaker is saying and join in with his argument, which democracy and freedom are human rights. The speaker opens the first stanza with a simple statement, and he says that over the 4 lines of the stanza, that democracy is not going to be realized through compromise or through fear. The masses will not be silenced into compliance through the persuasion. Freedom is not gained through incremental changes, but through a complete overhaul of the system, which has sought to disenfranchise black voters at every turn. Hughes put forward the statement that, which are common sense. Anyone who has any empathy at all should be able to understand them, understand the real, the pain which they are expressing. In the second stanza, Hughes continues to use enjambment to make his case for democracy. The speaker states that he, as a black man in America, has just much right to stand in his own land, because it's his own land. So he has the rights to stand on his own feet as other people are having. Particularly he is talking against the whites. They deny the rights for them. Then he should be able to own the land, he says. He lives on or works on and be able to vote and act in his own interest. The use of rhythm in these lines makes a perfect sense. See, there are example of half rhythm, but there are also full rhythms. In this stanza, the words stand and land are said to be rhyme. So this adds a certain solidness to the statements, lining up nicely with the equal power under a law that speaker is looking for. Speaker is looking for the equal law. Everybody is equal under the law. The third stanza proclaims the speaker's irritation and exactions with the argument which put up the equal rights for years and years. Some people says that things should be allowed to take their course, that eventually it will work out. But Hughes didn't agree with that. See, Hughes doesn't feel the same way. He didn't think in that way. He can't live on the hopes of tomorrow. He says, he cannot live on the hopes of tomorrow. He also uses a metaphor to describe that hope as a food that can't access when he is starving. He is hungry now, so now he has to be given food. Now he needs the freedom, not tomorrow. He wants to feel the freedom when he is alive. Freedom, what is the use of the freedom if it comes after my death? That's his question. In the fourth stanza, he says that the freedom is a strong seed, okay, which is that is planned. in a great need. The black community was unfortunately still in the need of protection that a group takes for granted in the United States and around the world. See, by using the seed as a metaphor for freedom, the poet is saying that it will grow steadily and then flourish. Freedom will allow this community to blossom in strength and then benefit the larger American community and the world community. That is his argument in the fourth stanza. The last stanza of the poem, which contains very effective and perfect end rhymes. The words to and you drive the point home that the speaker is just like you, the listener. He deserves to live here and have freedom just as you experience it. He is telling to the listeners how much the freedom you have to live on your own land, the same way I too have. So he claims for his own rights. So the entire poem, in which the poet Hughes looks for his freedom. Just because of his color, he cannot be marginalized. He says, I too have equal rights on every part of the society, like other people are having, like others are having, particularly the whites. So he needs equal rights. How they were treated, the same way he too need to be treated. He says that he cannot wait for the freedom the next day or the next year or tomorrow. He needs the freedom when he is alive. So this is about the poem called Democracy. With this, the lecture gets over. Thanks for listening my lecture. Kindly subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed it.